Anyway, we can get started. We're there. Welcome. What a nice group. I'm so glad to see you. What a beautiful day. Just a couple things up front. If you need water, if you walk up the road here, you'll see a black forerunner right in front of us, a drinking fountain. And if you brought water, I'd encourage you to pour it out because my water is really awesome. It comes out of the glaciers in the Olympics. It's 7.3 pH, and it's really sweet. Very, very good water. If you need to use the restroom, if you continue up the road around the house, when you come to the other side of the house, you see off to your left a wood-fired oven. The next building with the green roof is an outhouse, and you're welcome to that. As we progress on the tour, I've said earlier, I really welcome questions because it helps me connect with you and get, and not be off somewhere you don't want to go. And so questions aren't asked, they're never interruptions, so don't ever feel like you're interrupting because I really welcome the questions. So we'll head up. I shared with some people before, I just love observing the effect of wood chips. You can see my neighbor's cherry trees over here. You can see how the foliage looks in the top of the tree. You can see it's definitely going dormant. If you look at the branches coming this way, you see how much bigger the leaves are? Are you noticing that? The leaves are quite a bit bigger. You know why? The roots now are getting into my wood chips. The roots are into my wood chips, and they're eating better. And because they're eating better, the leaves get bigger. I love paying attention because it's just, all of nature is really speaking loudly, showing you how it all works. Over here I have a hydrangea. You know hydrangea flowers, if you have acid soil, the flowers are blue. If you have alkaline soil, they're pink. My hydrangea has both blue and pink flowers at the same time. I think it's awesome. You know why? Because the pH in wood chips is an amazing 7.0. I love the number 7, that's the number of the Creator, and it's perfect balance. At center, everything thrives. I'm going to show you over here that where I have lavender, which is alkaline-loving plant, growing right next to blueberries. They're touching, and they're both thriving because it's 7.0, it's center, and everything's happy. I love nature. You see, we're trying to adjust pH for this plant. You never last, you're always doing it. Yeah. Where if you get a natural environment, 7.0, you can grow everything there because it's center. And at center, everybody's happy. It's just, I love nature. It doesn't have any work involved. It's just, there's no effort. It's just, everything grows because it can't help it. We'll progress over here to the garden. As we walk, we can talk, so if you have questions.
Paul, I have a gift for you.
Thank you.
Avocados.
Oh, awesome. You can just put it on my porch? Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll try to do that. Yeah. Look here. What? He's asking a question. When you plant in wood chips, what do? You see, the wood chips are very coarse. So what I like to do, I take this back until I come to solid material, like that. Yeah. Here's what's so cool about that. When you come there, you've created a ridge here. When you plant seeds in that, because of that ridge, it knocks out the wind and it's warmer down and they come up quicker. When they come up, you put your wood chips back around your plants, and then you go visit your friends, talk on the phone, go on vacation because your garden no longer needs you. It'll take care of itself. I'm just telling you, man, it is so awesome. It is so simple and so completely unnecessary of help. It's just powerful.
So once you see a little green, you just cover
it? Yeah, just put the wood chips back around to cover the ground to hold moisture and keep it comfy, and then just take off. You see that squash over there in front of walk over there and look at that squash in front of that, behind that bus, and just check out the size of it and realize that was planted in wood chips. It was never watered this whole summer with 70 days of no rain. Check out the size and the color.
And you started like that?
I put a seed in the ground and walked off. Go look at it. It's awesome.
What are we looking at?
That squash plant in front of the bus.
Oh, hi. We came out from Colorado.
Well, welcome.
To see my wife Becky, and so thank you for your service and welcome home.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Isn't it? The surgeon, it has kind of a peppery taste, but when you finish, it finishes sweet.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's like a sweet
and so in a salad, that color makes the salad really cool looking. and then it gives really, vibrancy to your salads. So they're a great plant, and see, it's growing on my apple trees. So it's not taking up any space. So it can just, and you know what's awesome about this is 6 years now, when they finish blooming, they create seed, they fall in the ground, and I haven't planted this for 6 years. It just keeps coming back on its own.
Nice.
If you look in nature, no one's planting seeds. Are you following me? Everything seeds itself. It's quite capable.
The part I get so confused about is how can the things we want to grow, grow, and the things we don't want to grow, not grow? In other words,
When you start,
how can that reseed
well, you
itself
can
and-
train. You see you can start bringing in what you want,
Yeah.
create a healthy environment, they'll reseed themselves. That nasturtium was never there before. You know how it got there? I can give you a testimony while I walk. My wife is bugging me to grow nasturtium. She loves them in salad because she's artistic. And they really look cool in a green salad. And so I'm walking down the road talking to the creator. She says, now, I want to do this for my wife, but I don't want them in my garden because they spread like crazy. They'll take up space. I don't want my garden. Where can I put them in a place where they won't be in my way? Well, plant them under your apple trees. I'm so brain dead. I'm telling the creator, I'm telling him, you can't do that. The package says plant in full sun. I'm telling the creator. Well, he was very, presidential, he didn't argue. He says, just do it. And so I did. This just shows you his heart. You see, I was planning on planting someplace every year because that's what I do. But that was 6 years ago. And they just keep reseeding themselves. And so I'm starting to get that nature needs no help. And if you create a healthy environment, it will continually feed itself and grow itself forever, as it does in nature. So it's all about coming in, repenting, changing, and getting a healthy environment, getting rid of the stuff you don't want, and letting nature reestablish itself. See, things aren't going well in your yard because you came in and changed nature. You eradicated nature, and now you've got to repent and let it reestablish. Really, it's that simple. And I'm so seeing it here. It's like, man, I can't believe when my stuff goes to seed, I have to be so careful with my herbs because when they go to seed, if I don't cut everything back, I have a whole yard full of that plant. I'm spending hours weeding them out because I can't stop. So I have to really make an effort to stop it from reseeding. Not make it, but stop it because it's just overwhelming. So it's just a simple matter of just bringing back the natural order and it'll take over. Because you stopped it, not you, but whoever got there before you ripped it all off and away, and so now it's got to reestablish.
Did you start with heirloom seeds?
I like heirloom seeds because if you look at the owner's manual, it said very, very clearly, and he repeated himself, the food I made for you produces seed after its own kind. That's very significant. Hybrid seeds do not bear seed after their own kind. Genetically modified plants do not bear seed after their own kind. And what that statement says is the Creator is really generous. He's really good. And with semi-diligence, once you have a plant, you will have free food for the rest of your life because it will always keep creating seed after its own kind. I'm telling you, all of nature is revealing the goodness of the Father. He is really good, very generous and kind. And you can see the whole concept of the genetically modified and hybridized stuff. That makes you a slave. You have to buy from them. They control who has food, and it's evil from my perspective. Control, you got it. And see, the Father wants us to be free. It was for liberty Christ came to set us free. He said, you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. He's all about us being free, where the other system isn't.
What's your annual rainfall here?
It varies from 14 to 18 inches. Not a lot. And if you didn't hear before, but this orchard has not been watered or fertilized for 38 years, ever. No water. And we've had major droughts here, and it's not affected. It's interesting, you see my sequoia trees, you see the interior needles are turning brown. I think it's so amazing, again, if you observe nature, just the genius of the Creator. You see, every fall, the Creator puts a covering of needles and leaves over the whole planet to return what the plants took out. You follow me? As the plants took out of the ground minerals to create needles and leaves, every year he returns it. But you see these conifers, they're evergreen. They don't naturally drop their needles. So you know how he gets them to do it? He creates a drought. And it's so interesting how they do it. You look at the tips of those, they're bright green. In the interior, they're turning brown. What they're doing is they're getting reducing what they have to hydrate. And they're doing it in a place where it's not visible. And what's amazing to me, after the wind blows, I got like 4 inches on the ground. You look at the trees, they look totally full. They're not lacking anything, but they put back a covering to feed themselves and hold moisture. You know, again, if you observe nature, it's so perfect. I had the most amazing experience when I was first, so I planted those trees 19 years ago, 6-inch starts, like little whips. So they're about this tall, and we had this amazing drought here. We're talking like really dry. And the whole interior is turning totally brown. And so I'm talking to the creator, he says, I gotta water them. He says, no, don't you dare water them. Don't you ever water them. And he says, look at the tips. You see, the tips of the tree is indicating its state. That's what the new growth is. You look at the tips, they're all bright green. He says, that's the new growth. If the tips are brown, it's over. Your tree's dying. But if the tips are good, it's saying we're getting plenty of nutrition to put on new growth. So just leave it alone, don't do it. So it's getting worse and worse. We're talking like getting really brown. He says, you sure? I bet I says, don't water. Just listen to me. So I'm watching this and I said, okay, tips are good. It's all right. So we get this really heavy fall wind, and I go out there, look at my trees, and they're totally lush green. And it looked like nothing came out, but I look at the ground, there's like 6-inch cover of needles. And what I heard was, is your trees are realizing that this is all the water they're going to get, they need to put down a greater cover to hold moisture. Had you watered them and stopped that whole process, they would have been weakened and not prepared for upcoming droughts. And I got that day a revelation that nature needs no help, and if I try to help it, I really hurt it, big time. Nature needs no help, and when I'm out there trying to water and do all this stuff to help it, I'm making it weak. Because see, it's in becoming, you overcome by, you know, resistance makes you strong. And as the tree had to overcome this drought issue, it's empowered. And if I stopped that by artificially watering, it would have never put that cover down. In upcoming years, it wouldn't have had that to support itself. So I so get that nature's so right, you know, and it doesn't need me, and if I get in there and mess with it, I mess it up. Well, it works. You know, and again, we have 6,000 years of recorded human history that demonstrate it. This, what I'm sharing with you today, has been happening for 6,000 years of recorded human history. And it has never changed, ever. And it's not going to, because it works. If something works, you don't change. So I live in a place, I'm in Western Washington. I don't even know what this zone is. I don't even care, because I'm finding that, you know, all these things they say you can't do is ridiculous, because you can.